Welcome, goblins and beings from extra cosmic dimensions. It's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. I was on holiday last week in sunny Wales, so didn't do a video, which means this week I've got all kinds to talk about. The first thing, I'm going to do a shout out to the Magnus Archives. They are a weird horror podcast that I discovered a week or two ago. So good. It's one guy reading supernatural statements, and it's super creepy. It's totally free. I'll put the link in the bottom. But if you like listening to audio dramatizations and your thing is horror, especially weird horror, the Magnus Archives is for you. And there's lots to dig through because they've been going for a couple of years. So there's about 150 podcasts. I think it's about 3 seasons worth. Awesome. So, big thing is, I'm going to be moving workshops soon, which is a real shame because I've been in here for about 6 years since I started, and it's going to be a real shame to leave here, but fate forces your hand sometimes. So I don't know exactly how much longer I'm going to be here, maybe 2 or 3 months max. So at some point I might actually do some videos of me moving. That might be fun. It also might be horrible, but hey ho, if I video them I can decide whether to put them up or not, can't I? The main impact is that for the time being I'm not taking commissions, because my normal mode of operation is to give a date, book a date, and take a deposit. Since I can't give a firm date, I'm not taking deposits. So what I am doing is I'm taking names in the order that you come to me, and I will go back down the list in order of first come, first served when I'm settled, and start giving dates and taking deposits then. But with the way things are looking at the moment, we're almost certainly looking at next year now if you're after a commission. That's just a heads up. Coffee. So, on to the meat of today's episode. I thought it'd be fun to do, well, a tobacco review, but slightly different than I normally do. Normally I like to smoke a blend for at least a week before I do a review, and tend to do a little bit of research on the blend as well, just to make sure that I would discover if a blend has got a topping on it that maybe it doesn't list, how long it's been around, that kind of thing. What the actual components are, opposed to just what it says on the tin. But I thought for this one, I would just discover this blend as it is, with no extra knowledge, just crack open the tin and smoke it, knowing only what it says on the tin. So, I'm going to give Seattle Pipe Club's Potlatch a go. I'm going to smoke it in my trusty acorn. It says it's a mixture of Cavendish, Luxury Burley, Virginia, Latakia, Perique, and Orientals. it does seem to be a kind of a thing with the Seattle Pipe Club, where they do seem to throw everything in. Not necessarily a bad thing. I think lots of blends have, up to 12 or more components. Wow, that's a great smell. Very definitely got that Seattle Pipe Club / McClelland tart, vaguely vinegary topping. You've got the Latakia, it's nice and smoky, doesn't smell too strong though. Can't detect the Perique straight off the bat. Probably the Perique and the Virginias are somewhat masked by the Latakia and that vinegary style of processing, whatever that is. It is a kind of a rough ribbon cut. Lots of dark browns, some nearly blacks, that's probably the Latakia. Lots of mid browns. No sort of light yellow, no sort of those like bright Virginias, can't see anything like that in here. Good moisture, it's verging on crispy. Just verging on crispy, which is how I like it. To be fair, the Seattle Pipe Club blends, they do tend to smoke quite well. So the moisture content on them is generally quite good. As you know by now, if you've been watching these, I don't like to mess about. I like tobaccos that you pack and smoke. If you've got to leave it drying for half an hour, it loses my interest. I'm a little impatient on that score. That tartness really comes through on the flavour. Got the Latakia. It's mild, but it's there. If I'm right, the Black Cavendish tends not to add that much in terms of flavour. Black Cavendish is there to help the burning characteristics, to help it to burn slower. Wow, I was just going to say, I can't detect the burleys. It seemed like quite a bright flavour. But they're coming through now. I'm not detecting the Perique. burning really nicely. Okay. Some toasty notes coming through. I don't know what I was expecting exactly. I was expecting the Virginia, the vinegary sourness, because that's been in all of the Seattle Pipe Club blends, right from Mississippi. Mississippi River, Plum Pudding, Hood Canal, and Potlatch, they've all got it. It's actually quite a sweet blend. Not aromatic sweet. Just getting it in the sinuses a little. That's possibly the Perique. Perique does that to me. Just feel it about there. Very pleasant. It's not wowing me, but doesn't have the depth of a lot of barley blends. I'd struggle to. I mean, some obvious ones come to mind. Old Dark Fired and things like that. So it's a kind of, that vinegariness is kind of mixed with sweetness. The Latakia is definitely in the background. If you're a Latakia freak, this might underwhelm you. This actually kind of strikes me more like a vapor with a hint of Latakia. Because it took a while for the Perique to come through. In fact, it was kind of like the last thing. It was the last element to kind of raise its head above the crowd. The kind of like vinegar, that sour topping, does keep it interesting. So it's not a bad blend. It's a good blend. But it slightly missteps you with the description, I think. Okay, it does list Latakia and Perique towards the end. It says Cavendish, Burley, Virginia. And then Latakia, Perique, and Orientals. Like I say, it's got it all. Quite well balanced. Although no one element is kind of being the star of the show. in that sense, I think it might be a bit of a... It might be confused as to what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're in the mood for something, would you reach for Potlatch to do the job? It's like, I like it, but it's not super distinctive. I would choose Hood Canal over Potlatch. And then when I run out of Hood Canal, which I liked but didn't blow me away either, then I would smoke the Potlatch. That the Virginia Perique character is attractive. It is nice. Okay, I'm changing my mind on this as I smoke it. Let me just grab a sip of coffee. I thought this would be quite a quick review. I thought I'd have a few puffs to tell you what I thought. Okay. So, let's sum it up. Vinegary top note with some sweetness. Maybe the vinegariness is, maybe the sour notes are the Orientals. Maybe that's how they've been processed. Or maybe it's the Cavendish. Without knowing how they've been processed, it's a little difficult to tell where that sour note is coming from. But a little bit of smokiness is nice. But if you love Latakia, that might be a bit frustrating. The Perique is adding something interesting to it. It's interacting with the Virginias really nicely. I got a feeling that the Burleys are just there to control the burn as well. They're not really adding, nice body or depth. It's a nice smoky blend. Well, there you go. Nice. I'm not going to score it. I'll smoke it. Interesting. Who knows? Maybe I'll come back to this. Potlatch. Interesting. And finally, I've got a pipe to show you. Now, I had a period where I was making a style that I called shroom quite a bit. Made quite a few of them. You have these phases where you make a certain thing. And for a while it was the shrooms. And I hadn't made a shroom for a little bit. But this is a commission. Obviously the main feature is this kind of like ribbed bridge element. Shrooms always feature tons of plateau. The bowl is kind of fake sandblasted and then really sandblasted. So those ridges are carved, but then I did sandblast into them. So there's a kind of two elements going on there. That's my black and white Cumberland. Let's give you a look there. Carved into here. Just a smoothed area for the logo there. There you go. Latest pipe. The shroom. Okay, that's it. I will be back next week with, oh, I don't know what, with something or other. Until then, take it easy. I'll see you soon. Ta-da.